We've got breaking news out of Canada this morning. It actually broke yesterday, but still rapidly gaining traction across the country as well as around the world. So, former Prime Minister, Canada's 18th Prime Minister, who served between 1984 to 1993, Brian Mulroney, has passed away. He was ill for quite some time. So, one can say at this point, while it is a loss to Canada, as he was a true son of the soil, may he rest in peace. Now, I chose to discuss Brian Mulroney today because a lot of people ask me about what it's like to migrate to Canada, what it's like to live and work and even do business in Canada. Brian Mulroney was very instrumental in Canadian life, or your ability or your desire to want to migrate here, do business here, whether you realize it or not. So I'm going to get into a few things to help you better understand why he is so significant in Canadian history and why his legacy will continue to live on, even in death, in the way that it will. So he was born in Quebec, the province of Quebec. And as an adult, he became a prominent lawyer in Quebec as well before joining active politics. Brian Mulroney was so instrumental to Canadian history and the way we live and work here and do business here, because he introduced major economic reforms, and he really sought to strengthen ties with our neighbors to the south, the United States of America. He signed the first trade agreement with the United States, known as the Canada-United States Free Trade Agreement. This covers the movement of goods and services, taxes, how you import, export, etc. This gave rise to the North American Free Trade Agreement, more commonly known as NAFTA. Everybody knows about NAFTA, and no one knew about NAFTA more than Donald Trump when he decided to renegotiate it during his presidency. It has now been termed as CUSMA for Canadians, and also includes Mexico in the mix. Brian Mulroney, actually, let me go back to the Free Trade Agreement. If you're in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, wherever, you will be affected by CARICOM. So just like with strengthening ties with the U.S., that's what CARICOM serves to accomplish, is to do business better and strengthen ties with your more significant and immediately close by neighbors. The goods and services tax, more commonly known as GST, is another thing that Brian Mulroney has gone down in history for. Some people think the GST is a thorn in your side. It certainly gives you sticker shock when you go to conduct a transaction, because it's a VAT for those of you in the Caribbean. There's lots of talk about what to do with it, but the simple fact of the matter is that I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And it's really important that you understand the GST, because it's applicable to just about everything. And the Canada Revenue Agency does not miss when it comes to collecting on it. So as a business owner, or whether you're employed with a company, however it is you conduct any sort of daily business in Canada, especially as a customer, if you buy things from Canada, you look to import, export, you have to know about all of these things, okay? It is an added cost to doing business. So one of the things that affects is also crown corporations, including Air Canada and Petro-Canada. So Brian Mulroney was known for the privatization of 23 out of 61 federal crown corporations. Let's liken this to the Caribbean and give you an example. It is now extremely expensive. It always has been, but it's even more expensive now to fill up your car, your vehicle, as well as travel within Canada and between province to province. That's because of the monopoly that these crown corporations have. If you're in the Caribbean, what does that sound like? Your petroleum company, your gas companies, as well as Cal. It's the same thing. And GST is part of the reason why it is so expensive, because these taxes, go check out Trini Rambles. This morning I saw a video about that he posted speaking about this exact thing, the monopoly on travel when it comes to the Caribbean. And this is exactly what Brian Mulroney has an effect on up to this day. So if you're looking to travel to and from Canada or within, you're looking to see what it would cost to actually move your vehicle and just get around, you'd want to check out the GST. And Brian Mulroney felt it was great to introduce it. Another thing that is significant about him is that he was a proud Quebecer. So I mentioned that he was born and raised there, and Brian Mulroney sought Quebec's endorsement of constitutional amendments by introducing two things, the Meech Lake Accord as well as the Charlottetown Accord. Both of these accords propose recognizing Quebec as a distinct society, extended their provincial powers, and essentially very extensively changing their constitution. Hello, Tobago. We're looking at you here. That's exactly the same thing. Now, they failed to be ratified, but what it did do is revive the desire within Quebec to separate from the rest of Canada. They're very proud of their Francophone culture as well as their language, and they have enacted laws, etc., that they feel protect the essence of what it is to be a Francophone, and they want to really solidify their place in Canada. Now, Canada is a bilingual country, but Quebec feels that Canada is not doing enough to protect them, and they would prefer to just self-govern at this point. Now, there are other separatist movements in Canada right now, particularly out west, but Quebec always has been pretty prominent in that movement. So just understand it's like the situation going on in Tobago. A lot of people have a lot of opinions, and who knows whether or not it will happen. But Brian Mulroney, proud Quebecer, and really wanted to ensure that he maintained what Quebec feels is core to their existence. Now, this is significant because a lot of people are looking for where to go in Canada, whether to visit and particularly settle down if you migrate. Just know that if you go to Quebec, it's already different strokes for different folks over there. So it may be, you may feel like it's a little bit more restrictive, and there's huge instances of colorism, racism, all of that. Like a different story for another video, for another day. But that's something you need to be mindful of. You will absolutely know that you're different. But lastly, Brian Mulroney was known to oppose the apartheid regime in South Africa and led an effort in the Commonwealth to sanction the country. So overall, he was significant. Nobody's going to argue that. And I chose to talk about him because at this point, if you're looking to come to Canada and do business or migrate, he may just well be on the citizenship test, so you have to know about him. And he certainly has a huge impact on day-to-day life and the way you live and conduct business in the country. So rest in peace.